this is Casey Wilson, owner of Roseville Strength and Conditioning and one of your co-hosts of the Do or Do Not podcast. And this is
Bradford Neal Erie, the first of many.
Of many. What do you do?
What don't I do? I don't do podcasting well, that's for sure.
Yeah. StreamYard seems to have beaten your ass.
Well, you know what? Maybe they don't like it when I try to podcast off a 17-year-old laptop computer.
That's probably the reason why.
That is bent and crooked.
All right. So today we are going to, let's first say we're a little bit behind talking about Ahsoka because somebody has a bunch of excuses about why he can't podcast. But they're pretty valid excuses. But with that being said, they're still excuses.
We are no excuse podcast.
It's do or do not. It's not try, and you have not even been doing anything. So, but we're way behind. But today we're talking about Ahsoka.
Finally.
So the final couple episodes, we never got to talk about it. And I literally was having to go back and watch, because I watched them the night they came out. I mean, it was must-see TV.
But we're old and we forget, so that's why we had to watch it again.
Well, I just did a little refresher because I was like, wait a second, I don't want to mix episodes. But we'll just kind of focus on what happened at the end and what's going to come in the future. I loved the whole series. I thought it was great. If you're a Legends fan, if you've read all the books, they're trying to actually make really good Star Wars content. Are there some things that they're having to get around because of crappy content that's been made? Yes. But I think Filoni is right on track. I want season 2 of Ahsoka. Obviously
today
Mando's going to be, we're going to get a Mando season 4, and I'm sure it's going to mix in a lot of Ahsoka. I'm assuming they're going to start bringing in Luke Skywalker because Mara Jade's going to be coming into it, there's a whole arc with them that's over.
I hope so.
3 or 4 books. I'm on the 4th book because you got the Heir to the Empire 3. Then you get into the Spectre of Thrawn, which I'm reading again. I read all these before, but now I'm listening to them all again.
It's a humble brag of you reading.
Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of books. I have a bunch of other books. I would like to just listen to Star Wars books. That would be great. But unfortunately, I have to listen to other ones too. But they're still not together, but they will be married in the future. So if you don't know, spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
It's because we're educated on Star Wars and you're probably not because you don't read books. Legends is great, and I'm very excited about what's going to happen. But obviously, they can't do exactly what happened in the books because of all the stuff that's been done. So I like what they're doing. They've added a bunch of new, interesting stuff in. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard anybody else say this because I haven't read every book, but I've read most of the books. Peridea is a brand new planet. Mm-hmm. Never heard about it. This whole everything that's going on, the whole story is all new, but with a lot of elements of Legends in there. So I was really excited with everything that happened. What was your general feeling? Well, don't get down to like nitty gritty stuff, just a general feeling to how you liked it.
I did really like it. I'd give it 4.5 out of 5 kettlebells.
I didn't say to rate it. I just said, how do you like it?
I'm just talking on a broad sense. I have a lot of questions for you that might improve it because there's a lot of stuff I was like, what? I'm not sure.
You didn't remember any of the Heir to the Empire books?
I did, but like, I think maybe this would be.
You're going to ask me a question. I'm like, dude, it's in the book.
Yeah, maybe. But I feel like one of the good ways we can review this is just me asking you questions and explaining it because that'll keep you on track.
Okay, first look at your phone and see what I got you for a Christmas present.
Oh, my goodness. Is it a new heart?
It is a limited.
Okay, now this brings me to my first point about it.
All right, so that is a limited edition, and we won't even get it shipped to us until January.
Oh, it's my boy Enoch.
It's your boy. It's a Funko Pop of Enoch. I got Thrawn because I originally got on. And I was like, oh, I saw Enoch, and I go, he's a limited edition also.
Oh my gosh, it is. First of all, okay. Now, Star Wars, this is my only bone to pick in this series, it's a classic Star Wars thing where they show you someone badass and you don't hear much about it. We had the original Boba Fett, like he's the coolest guy, kind of dies pretty quick. Captain Phasma, whatever
Phasma. She wasn't cool.
I thought the silver stormtrooper. I thought, okay, she looked pretty cool, and she had pretty much no role. Then when you
say something's cool out of the sequel trilogy, I start like immediately vomiting in my mouth.
Then I see Enoch, and I'm like, all right, he's got to be up to something. You don't make someone look that badass, and then he didn't do a dumb thing in the whole series. I have faith that he will have a big part to play in the other season or the movie.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you. He is the coolest looking guy in Star Wars.
I know how much you liked him, and I was getting the Thrawn one for myself because I wanted to pre-order it. Because you know how much the only other Thrawn Funko Pop, like it was from Rebels.
How much is that?
Around $400.
Yeah, you don't make that much.
I thought I'm not gonna buy that for $400.
The sessions suddenly spiked to like
$300
a session. We'll know why.
$120 a session.
Yeah, Daddy's gotta buy
Funko Pops.
That is awesome.
Yeah, Enoch didn't do shit, but you got to remember he is Thrawn's right-hand man.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of right-hand mans probably to have on the planet of Peridia.
Yep,
but I'm sure he's fairly badass, even though he didn't do anything to prove it. Yeah, he looked cool. I don't personally like how he looks. That's why I got you that one, and I got Thrawn. It's yours, but we'll put him up here, as more decoration. But
try not to make love to him in your recoup room.
Jesus Christ. Captain Enoch was cool. The whole thing was cool.
Zombie stormtroopers.
Okay.
I was sold right there.
So that's your favorite thing?
Well, there's so many.
So these are the questions you're asking me about zombie stormtroopers?
Let's start with the things. Okay, so I was not really aware of the Four Sisters. Like, that was new to me, this series. And then they gave the power to the one that heard their call and brought them. The power of the night or whatever. Yeah. The dark power, whatever it was. I forget. And then they gave her a sword. Now, is that sword important to know? Super
powerful and infamous in the Dathomiri. Well, see, they come from there, but they're going to Dathomir. So the Dathomiri Witch. Did you watch Clone Wars?
No, I will watch it between.
Well, it's a sacred kind of powerful symbol. It's very and it can absorb, like lightsabers can't just go through it. I saw that in the battle. Yeah. So in the battle with Morgan's Elsbeth, it is it's their kind of powerful sword.
Okay.
That is not easily destroyed.
So now we have that sword. We have the dark saber.
It's a force imbued sword.
Okay, so now we have 3 types of good swords. We have that sword, the dark saber, and the lightsaber. Right. So, is there any other swords out there?
The dark saber is just a lightsaber.
Just black.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to have different. It was made by one of the few Mandalorian Jedis.
Okay.
So
I didn't know about that.
Tarvisla?
You're saying that like I would correct you. Like, yeah.
I'm like, there's so many stuff, but I think it's Tarvisla was the name of one of the few Mandalorian Jedis.
And I know there's a Wikipedia guy who follows this thing. He's probably screaming.
I think it's Tarvisla
right now.
I think it's Tarvisla.
You idiots.
Well, it's hard because it would have been great if we had watched it and then did the podcast the next day, like we had planned, or within a couple days.
Someone doesn't want to come on the weekends, and someone only was free on the weekends, and that's how our lives kind of matched. You have this thing about trying not to live 24 hours at the gym.
Yeah, I know.
Having some type of life.
It's my time.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one thing. So they get to the planet. And they give this lady the power, and she has this sword.
Morgan Elsbeth.
I'm like, I can't wait to ask you about that sword. I almost called you late that night and said, "What's going on with the sword?" All right, so that was the first thing, and then it was the typical, the night troopers are chasing them around, chasing.
That's
Ahsoka,
right at the end. I mean, they have to,
and they're taking them down,
but they're out like battling. Ahsoka hasn't even got you. So like you're at the end of the episode.
Well, I'm just getting to my questions.
Oh, okay.
And so, and then the zombie stormtroopers, is that part
comic
of the lore?
books,
Okay,
comic
so that was
books,
from
and
the
also
comic books.
Clone Wars. Not, it was a storm. They like in Clone Wars. Mother Townsend, who was like one of the three sisters, she was the leader of the in Dathomir of the Dathomiri witches, or Night Sisters. She raised a bunch of dead to fight like General Grievous and his clone trooper or his droid army or whatever. They raised a bunch of Dathomiri soldiers the same way as they would raise. But in the comic books, there's actually stormtroopers that are zombies, but I don't read the comic books that much. So that's one area that I'm deficient in. And all the Star Wars lore, I can't really. Comic books are just such fluff. They're so quick, and I know they're great. Some people love them. I'm not going to go buy comic books anymore. I'm not a kid.
Well, they're expensive nowadays. You couldn't afford them.
Like my son got into them for a while, so we were going to the comic book shop, and I would read some while I was in there.
Yeah.
But it's like,
20 pages.
It's like paragraph. You're done with it like that, and they cost money. And it's like, and especially because everything's been Legends. Like if it was like the canon ones, it makes more sense to read. You might pick up stuff, but they're zombie stormtroopers in comics, from what I understand.
But the Rebels cast they did not seem freaked out by it as much as I would think that they would be. Of like they clear the room.
You mean Ezra, who's a Jedi?
Yeah, so they know about
a Bogan Jedi or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and then Ahsoka,
they know who's about not a Jedi stuff. But a Force user.
Because I would have been like,
who's a warrior Mandalorian. They're just like, all right. They deal with what they got to deal with. They're going to adjust. They've been in battles. They've been in fights.
I didn't know if they had seen this before. Like,
I don't think they've seen it before, but they just adjust to it because that's what they're faced with is life and death. They don't have time. They don't have time to sit there and go, oh, let me figure this out.
But they didn't take off the heads. That would have been my first move with the lightsaber.
Well,
come back to life without a head, mofo.
Well, when they brought them all back to life, so obviously, I don't know all the ins and outs of what their theories were behind it, but obviously they killed them all and then they brought them back to life. Now, were they dead already?
See, that's what I was going to ask you.
Or did they raise them? There's no real delineation. Now, there's the one real zombie, the tough ones, the ones that they had a harder time with.
Yeah,
they were already dead, and they were more armor, different type of armor. I don't know. I don't know specifically why there was those two, or if they were just like experiments on bringing stormtroopers back. I don't know.
All right, so that's where I was going for my second question. All right, so let's switch to the other parts of the last two episodes. So we catch, was it Balin and his little Padawan, and he gives her the
Shinhate.
Yeah, see, I know you knew the names. And he gives her that nice little advice, and she goes off and gets her butt kicked, which I thought the fight between her and Ezra was really cool. He's like, I don't need a lightsaber. I have force jujitsu, like force fu, as I like to call it.
Yeah, and
like he's swinging it.
And if Sabine wasn't there, he would have been chop suey.
Yeah, and then he picked up a gun and started shooting things. Like, you know what? Yeah. Force fu is pretty good until you just need a blaster.
Until the shit hits the fan.
Yeah,
you wish you had a lightsaber.
And then I did notice when he was making his own lightsaber, in the back, and they nodded to which was my early complaint about the Rebels cartoon, was that the lightsabers were drawn really thin. Like, they were really thin. Like, I like a nice, thick, girthy, veiny lightsaber.
It depends on if you have a young man like Ezra with smaller hands.
Well, still, like, his look like just like a little string. Like, I like just girthy, thick lightsaber, and they made a joke about that, which I thought it was a really kind of a cool comeback that like only diehards like us would hear. So that was, I almost called you again when I saw that. Like, you really almost got called at like 11:30 at night, and they're like, "Did you see about the girth of the lightsaber joke that they made?" So anyway, so I like that little nod how he made his own lightsaber in the same way.
You can make just about anything into something sexual, man.
That is a gift.
Jesus.
So I like that part. So
I thought I was bad at that, but Jesus.
for those who want to do group class, this goes all along. So if you go to group where I'm in it, this is just part of the reward. So I like the fight between them, with like the lightsabers
and whatever the stormtroopers and all those.
I like that part. But then I wanted to know what you think Balon's endgame is. So all the time, this whole show, he's always been kind of portrayed as he's not on Thrawn's side, he's not on the Force's side or the Rebellion side. He's on his own side, and he kind of feels like Thrawn and him are just kind of using each other just so they can both go their own ways. And it was clear when he said goodbye to his Padawan that he had this whole other thing that he was going to do. And then when they cut to him at the last scene, like he lost his black coat, he had like that thick fur on, and he looked like he's been traveling a long time. And then you were telling me about the monuments that you saw him stand on, like the old guy pointing, and then there was like another guy onto his right, and then the person on the left was.
So I'm assuming you still haven't watched the Clone Wars episodes with
I haven't watched any
with the
Clone
Mortis
Wars
gods.
Yet. Yeah, so
okay.
I want you to talk about how you think, where you think he was doing to get to this planet, what you think he was going to. Do you think he took his Padawan there just so he can be like, okay, yeah, you go deal with these Jedi that I really don't care about?
No.
And I'm just going to go over here looking for what I want, this greater power. So tell me what you think his deal was and where do you think it's going? I mean, I don't know the statues. You kind of explained it to me, individually before. Do you think that he's going to find that dark Jedi that we read in Heir to the Empire? Go for it. Hit me, because I had all kinds of questions.
No, he won't be finding George Seaboth. So, there's been lots of people that had, like, all of us that were, like, have read Legends and stuff are like, where are they going to go with this?
Yeah.
And I was tending to lean towards it, are they going to... They're jumping the line of the Legends, meaning... You go through, you have the whole Thrawn thing, right?
Yeah.
Then after Thrawn, you have the Yugazong Bong War that come from another galaxy. And a lot of people like me are like, they're going to another galaxy. This must be where they introduced the Yugazong Bong. So that was my initial feelings. They're jumping ahead to the final 8-book series, I think, that I told you about, that I read. That I was like, Luke Skywalker is so powerful in these books.
I hope so.
He is like... crazy, like he's like at max Luke Skywalker power in these 8 books. So he really isn't scared of anything. He's at peace. He's at calm. He's training his son. But Abeloth gets introduced. Okay. So here's who Abeloth is, and they don't really discuss it, I think, in the Clone Wars, but it's in the books. But there is a father who Balin's skull is standing on at the end. That's the father.
Okay, so that's the big statue that's pointing out
that he's standing on. Next to him is the son, who is the darker side of the Force, the evil or the dark side of the Force.
Okay.
The daughter's monument is destroyed, or definitely not her. It's there, but it's not there.
It's been marked somehow. Like
it's been the head's been destroyed or whatever. Yeah. It's not whole. All right. Those are those 3. They were gods. And apparently they came from Peridia and went to our galaxy, which is then they were on the planet called Mortis.
Okay.
So this is all addressed in the Clone Wars. And also they talk about this in this final 8 books. They get more in-depth in detail.
Which I'm going to start when I finish the Thrawn Ascendancy.
Yeah. So here's what happens is you got these 3 gods. They have a human woman that they have kind of start being like almost like a servant to them.
Yeah.
And then this servant woman kind of balances out the good and the evil, and they don't battle anymore. Like the daughter and the son fought all the time.
She brought balance to the
She
Force.
did. She brought balance to those 2 kids.
Yeah.
And then the father kind of felt like, I don't know if it was in love, but just was under her enchantment. Yeah. Like he thought highly of her or whatever. I can't remember the exact words they used. But anyway, she ended up being part of their family for a long time, but she wasn't immortal. She wasn't a god. And even then, they're not really immortal because the father dies. All of them do. Yeah, all of them do in the Clone Wars. So definitely the father, and I don't remember what happened to the son. He was stopped. Yeah, they all die. So they're not immortal, I guess. Maybe they are, because there's some stuff that hints to the daughter being on the planet or in some representation on the planet. You know that little owl-looking thing?
Yeah.
That Ahsoka sees?
Uh-huh.
Ahsoka is alive because of the daughter. She gave up her life essence to give to Ahsoka.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the Clone Wars.
That happened in Clone Wars.
She was dead. Ahsoka was pretty much dead. And she gave her life force to save Ahsoka.
So, okay.
In the
so
Clone Wars. And then she's represented by that little owl-looking thing. Okay,
Interesting.
I forget what it's called. I'm drawing a blank. There's so many details. It's hard to remember every single
detail. You've read a lot of books.
So anyway, you got these Mortis gods.
Uh-huh.
Abeloth is this human servant who brings balance and basically becomes a mother figure to everyone in the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
But she's mortal and she's getting old. And she's starting to fail physically. Well, on Mortis and in the other legends and stuff too, there's this fountain of knowledge and a fountain of life or something like that, or like a lake of life or something like that, or lake of souls maybe, and fountain of knowledge or whatever. But humans are not supposed to partake in it. It rejuvenates like the father and the daughter or something along those lines of rejuvenation. So she goes and drinks from the fountain, and then she goes in the lake of souls, and it gives her this immense power, but it corrupts her because she's not a god. She's not one of the Father, the Son, and the daughter.
Interesting.
So it corrupts her and it makes her evil.
Yeah.
Like per se, meaning she becomes a very like an ultimate power and a destructive power in the universe. She becomes more powerful than them. It takes those three to bind her. They can't kill her.
Yeah.
But they can bind her. Their three powers were able to bind her and put her away. Okay. And what they did in the books is there was the space stations. There was 2 space stations they built.
Yeah.
The Killiks built them. They were like a insect type species.
Yeah.
They're in these 8 books. When you read these 8 books, there's a lot.
I can't wait.
They're like, what do these Killiks have to do with things? And they know stuff that we don't. And they have these memories from their past. They retain the memories of their past. But these Killiks built these space stations really fast, and they were force imbued, like a Jedi helped them build them.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was it was the Force that helped imbued them with the power to build these space stations so fast, and they imprisoned her on her planet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's a planet that she was imprisoned on, she couldn't get off of because of these space stations, and the gods moved 2 black holes, I think, which is the Maw. It's called the Maw in there. But she's still powerful, and she's part of the Force, and so she's able to reach out to people and call to them and corrupt them even from far away, like young Jedi. She corrupted in this 8 books.
So you think that could be?
So everybody was theorizing that would be it, and I was kind of hesitant, for a while, because I thought it would be way better to do Yugosong Vong, because the next step after Thrawn and them is the Yugosong Vong War, where the Galactic Empire, the remnants of the Galactic Empire, and the new the New Federation or whatever they call it. Drawing a blank. I'm using stupid Star Trek terminology. The Republic, the New Republic. And they have to combine forces to fight this Yugosong Vong, because they're a threat to the whole galaxy.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what route they were going, but no, they are going the Abeloth route. They're jumping to the end of Legends.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because when they jump to the ends of Legends, they could go past and create new stuff. Or they could go back and do the Yugosong Vong, say they came afterwards or something from a different galaxy, because there has to be other galaxies, right? So anyway, she was bound and put on our planet. Well, she was put on Peridia. I forget what the name was, but it wasn't Peridia. It was in our galaxy, but it was in the Maw. There's 2 black holes and 2 space stations that kept her
trapped,
prisoned on this planet, right? So if they did the same thing, but they put her on Peridia, and then Balin's going, because she's a destructive force that is supposed to bring balance to the galaxy when it gets out of balance. So she's gotten out a few times.
Balin kind of referenced that
yes,
too.
Yes, and that's why everybody really once he's referenced that, everybody really started going, "Oh, it's Abeloth," and I was like, still going, "I don't know yet." They're really jumping forward, but yeah, I got the feeling that I started getting the feeling. Okay. You know what got the feeling is in those books when you read them, she calls out to people. She brings them to her. That's how she got out of her prison. Is she was like corrupting people's minds, like young Jedis. She was corrupting them. During the big war and stuff where they hid Jedis and stuff. There's so much to it, but I'm just trying to cut down and get to the point of what affects Ahsoka. But he's there pointing to like that with he's pointing to this beacon, right? Yeah. This beacon looks orange, right?
Yes.
You know, out there way far away.
Yep.
So a lot of people think that's where Abeloth is. And that he's going to Abeloth. And now you're going to have Ahsoka going there too. And guess who is taking in the whole Mortis episode, the father was dying and he knew he was dying. He was losing his strength and power, and he wanted Anakin, who was the most powerful, to take over his role. Yeah, he wanted to imbue him with his life essence or whatever, and like say, you're going to be the new father, you know, to my daughter and son. Yeah, you're going to bring balance to the Force. Wasn't that what Anakin was supposed to do? Yeah. And a lot of people go, he didn't choose to do that, and then he became dark, right? Yeah. So if he would have done that, he would have fulfilled the prophecy, right? Yeah. But he didn't. But everybody's go, well, that's not really his. He did because he had to bait Luke Skywalker, and he brought balance, and then whatever. There's all different theories and feelings about it. But if he would have stepped up and become the father in Immortal, but now you see what he's doing. He's over on the other side. Yeah. But he has all these powers. Like he's over the in-between, and so it's interesting. And so, like, when you really look at it, you go, right now, if you say Anakin's the father, who got imbued with the daughter's power? Ahsoka. Maybe Balin becomes the son. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so eventually they can take Abeloth down. But Abeloth, I have a feeling, is going to get out, and she wreaks freaking havoc. She is so powerful. Luke Skywalker in his most powerful form, and he forms alliances. I don't know if I want to spoil.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Okay, so you think it might be her.
Great Force using powers cannot kill her or take her down combined together.
So my next question is, we've seen Thrawn move all of these containers into the Chimera. Yes. Are these dead soldiers? Are they cloning tubes? What do you think they are? And what is he bringing back to our galaxy?
I think they're just the dead Dathomiri. Okay. Or Peridians that now they're going to Dathomir. I think that what they're going to do is the Night Sisters or the mothers or whatever are going to bring them back to life on Dathomir. That's my guess, because he didn't have cloning tubes there. Why would there be cloning tubes on Peridia? It's kind of a dead planet. Yeah. And remember, he got the cloning tubes in the Legends books from Mount Tantus.
So that's what I thought that.
But he doesn't. He hasn't been
there. Tantus.
No, Mount Tantus is on Wayland in their galaxy. So this is why this screws everything up, because he could still do that. He could still go to Mount Tantus when he gets back into our galaxy after maybe he rebuilds it, or maybe he's headed there soon. Maybe he gets to Dathomir, gets set up there as his base, raises from all these Dathomiri back to life. Yeah. And so he has a bunch of warriors like Maul is from Dathomir, Darth Maul, and his brother. They're male Dathomiri, or Peridians.
Maybe they bring Darth Maul back.
They could. He might still be. Is he? No, Obi-Wan killed him. But you know what? In live action, Obi-Wan killed him in Rebels. So he's dead. He's dead. If you take that as canon, he's dead. They could bring him back to life, though, but it wouldn't be Darth Maul. When they bring him back, they're not like.
See, Darth Maul is
when they bring him back to life, they're kind of controlled by the mother.
Darth Maul is another example of, let's show this really cool character. He doesn't do anything and kill him off. Just like
he in live Clone action. Wars and in live action, he was not on long, but he has a long history, and he doesn't. Spoiler: he doesn't die when he's cut in half.
Only
a
Qui-Gon.
little crazy. Only Qui-Gon when he gets hit hit in the gut.
Everyone else is dead. It could get slashed, cut in half. Qui-Gon gets nipped in the finger, and he's dead.
Yeah, one of the most powerful Jedi around, knowledgeable, and he's just killed.
I think he just quit. He's like, I could live, but you know what?
I need to be like Obi-Wan when Darth Vader cut him down.
Yeah, you're like, there's just too much drama. I'm out.
Yeah, so those cylinders, I'm pretty sure, are just the caskets for Dathomiri that they're going to take back to Dathomir, repopulate Dathomir with these. Maybe they have something that can make him mindful again, that they don't have to be controlled. I don't know, or they're just going to use him as an army to get started until he can, and then all the Imperial remnants. Yeah, all these Moffs and generals that are running things like Pelion and all those ones that have already been showed, like Moff Gideon was in. They're all waiting for Thrawn to come back. So if he comes back and with his mind, you know what he did in Legends and how quickly he brought things to line, and maybe he has plans to go to Mount Tantus. Maybe they're going to do all that. It's just everything's a little out of order. Yeah, because they had to change what happened
because they didn't go with the Legends route.
Yes.
So but
they're trying to go the Legends route, but they have to go.
They got to cut stuff and reorder stuff.
So that's what I think those are. Those aren't cloning tubes. They wouldn't have been cloning tubes on Peridian. He didn't have them already.
So my basic thought was I really loved this season, but this whole season setup feel like to me all it was a setup to something better. Like I didn't feel like the story had a beginning, middle, and end. It's just like, all right, we're moving all the pieces on this chessboard. And for those in the know who watched,
I think
Rebels,
that's why it fell off in ratings.
Yeah,
it started off booming in ratings.
Yeah,
and for the diehards like us, we're in it.
Yeah,
we loved it. We knew what was going on.
on.
Let's say you never watched Rebels. You don't know. You never watched Clone Wars. This is an awesome new series. Who's Ahsoka Tano? Then they spent 2 or 3 episodes explaining who she was, who the characters were, what happened in Rebels. If you had watched those things, this would be, you'd love it like we love it. But if you never watched it, say you're a sequel trilogy jackass.
Yeah,
who thinks that they're amazing. That's all you really know. That's your favorite thing is a sequel trilogy.
You're like, who's Thrawn? Like, why do we care about Thrawn?
And, who are these characters? And you're going to get bored with it.
We
and
saw
a lot of them
Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka lost. Like, what kind of...
And who is Ahsoka? And who is Sabine Wren? And who is Ezra? And they don't even know who Kanan Jarrus is. And all this stuff. So...
I just felt like they was like, okay,
this is the beginning.
Yeah, like we're this whole series, we're just setting up for like the real movie of like the.
So you're gonna have
thing.
Mando season 4 for sure. There's no announcement yet, as far as I know, and we're a month after the show got over, close to a month at least, 3.5 weeks,
something like that.
And there's been no announcement for sure of a season 2 of Ahsoka, and part of the reason is because it started off with, like really solid numbers, and they were like, oh yeah, and then it's dropped 30-something% by the last episode, and that's from all the fair weather fans that weren't really, they don't know what's going on. They're just like, oh, let's watch this Ahsoka. Then they watch it and they go, I'm confused. I don't even know what's going on, and they're not real Star Wars fans. Yeah. Well, not that they're not real Star Wars fans. I shouldn't say that. They're just fans of like what's been put out by Disney. They don't know anything about Legends. They don't know. They don't watch cartoons like Rebels or Clone Wars. And I get it. They're cartoons, but they are great stories and really well done.
I think that they kind of did a disservice of they should have just called this Ahsoka Rebels season 5, like or like really pushed. Like they should have had like an hour of like all the essential Rebels, like here's what you need to know about Rebels and like explain and then do this.
They did that. It just unfortunately they did it over like 2 to 3, the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, they just should have cut up the cartoon and be like, yeah, before we have this thing.
I thought they did all right.
Like people who jumped on this, like my brother who was very excited for Ahsoka, knew Ahsoka from Mandalorian, and said, like I know a little bit.
But if you don't know her from Clone Wars,
but he called me as soon as it was over and be like, "That's it, she lost." Like there was no like what's Balon doing? What's Ahsoka like? Who's Ezra? Like why? Are
well, here's the thing: if you liked it, you're going, I want more.
But once I explained it to him, not as clearly as you do, but I'm like, this is setting up. Like, wait till you hear about Thrawn, and like he's like, okay, like I wish they would have, like had
think
a bigger finale, so there was like a closing.
Herein lies the problem. And it gets back to my favorite
Oh boy. All right, let's set the timer.
On the face of the earth. That piece of shit, Kathleen Kennedy, has screwed everything up so bad that you have to have an Ahsoka season like this to start going down a different path with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So she screwed it up so bad that they have to take that as canon, the sequel trilogy, right?
Yep.
This happened. They bastardized Luke Skywalker's ending. Luke Skywalker becomes a super powerful, the most amazing guy and the most benevolent and the greatest warrior and leader in the New Republic.
And they made him a quitter.
And now he gets outcast, or whatever, but he's so powerful. They make him into this old grumpy guy on an island who's a quitter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They really, and this was all, it was done with a purpose. They wanted to get rid of the George Lucas version of Star Wars. They wanted to get rid of the line of Skywalkers. And so she screwed all this up to try to do that, to try to make it Star Wars hers.
Yeah.
And it's not hers, it's ours. And as you see by the ratings and how well Star Wars is doing and how well Lucasfilms and Disney is doing in the shitter, they screwed up. And so now they're trying to, you have guys like Dave Filoni that want to fix it.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a series like Ahsoka, live action, that has to fix a lot of stuff. And then Mandalorian's going to have to pick that up. Then you have to start bringing Luke into it. Yeah. And Mara Jade, all these characters are coming in, and then you're going to have this movie done by Dave Filoni, and then you're going to really see what Star Wars can be. Yes. But if you will go back and watch Clone Wars and you watch Rebels, and then you watch Ahsoka, it's a whole different experience. It's just it's night and day, you know. And I'm not a huge Clone Wars fan. I hated the animation on Clone Wars. I liked it on Rebels.
Rebels was much better.
But I was like, I had a hard time ever getting into Clone Wars, and finally I said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch Clone Wars, and I did.
Gosh darn it!
And it's good, but not good like Rebels is way better to me. It was a way better done series.
Yeah. I enjoyed Rebels.
Yeah. And so I think that what they're doing now is they're trying to merge Legends and the canon that is out there that was created by Kathleen Kennedy. They're trying to merge these together now. So this is pre all that.
Yep.
So they have to like figure all this stuff out. So there's no Emperor stuff in there right now. There's none of this bullshit, the cloning stuff. But you know what?
They'll get to it.
They'll get to it. You know, they'll start. I think when that movie gets done, you're going to start seeing like, oh, the First Order start being formed or whatever, you know. But you know what the smart thing to do, and this is the thing that I saw from 1,000 miles up, is you go through and you do all this stuff, and then you start maybe tending towards the sequel trilogy, like what happened, like the First Order starts developing. Because look at what Thrawn's ship is and what his stormtroopers are and where they're at, and look at what's happening to the Imperial Remnant. They're nothing. Now the First Order has shiny. They have beautiful ships and shipyards. They don't have any of this right now, so they're gonna have to somehow get there, right?
Yep.
And Thrawn's gonna lead into them getting that stuff. But
preaching to the choir.
But here's what if you're gonna really merge Legends. So you go down this path. Let's say maybe Thrawn gets killed. Yeah. You know, like he does in the Heir to the Empire series book at the end. Or maybe he doesn't, and he lasts longer, and maybe
I think they're gonna use him longer.
And so how do you either Thrawn has to beat or really do better than he did in the Heir to the Empire books? Yeah. Or he combines forces with the New Republic because the Yugosong Vong invade the galaxy.
There's so much places they can go.
They can go, but I'm from standing back and I'm like, you could keep Thrawn in the universe longer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And then you build up that First Order power because they're cooperating with the New Republic. So them and the New Republic are happen to be on the same side. So then they're able to build this stuff up. Lo and behold, though, over on Exegol, you know, the clone of freaking the Emperor of Palpatine is freaking building up his power there too. So you could do that.
I wish they would just put you in a writer's room, but we got to wrap up soon so we can do another one.
Well, yes, but the main gist of everything is I give it 5 out of 5. I loved this series. No 4.5s. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 for what they had to deal with.
Ding for my boy Enoch.
Well, he's a bitch ass hoe, but you know you like him, so I'll give it. He hasn't proven himself yet. Right. We have to see him like doing John Wick shit in a battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was hoping.
Like why he's the lead stormtrooper. We got to see him like whooping everybody's ass for a while. Like he actually can shoot and hit, and actually it's a stormtrooper that can shoot and hit people. And,
I was hoping that Thrawn would be like, Enoch, go take out, the rebels. Like, go buy us time. He'd be like, I got you, Captain. And he would go down there and just do all kinds of kick-ass awesome. But he didn't.
Well, you had to get rid of the Morgan Elsbeth thing. I felt she was going to get sacrificed the whole time. But anyway, there's so many great characters in it. Here's my one feeling after watching everything. Why? Are you in a hurry?
We got like 30 minutes left to do another one.
It took you forever to freaking get this thing working.
It did.
I am very, very suspicious of Ezra. Abeloth's been on that planet, right?
Yeah.
Calling to Balin from all the way across. What's to say she hasn't already corrupted Ezra and now she's in our universe?
That's true. And
he's weird. He acts there's something weird about him.
How did he survive all that time?
And do you notice how bright his blue eyes are?
Yeah. Okay.
So Abeloth's eyes are like bright stars.
Yeah.
Like looking right, like she's like the queen.
You
of the stars.
heard it here, folks.
So I have this feeling, and I haven't heard anybody else. I don't think I've heard anybody else. I haven't watched a lot of the posts because I thought we were going to do a podcast about it. So I didn't want to get corrupted by watching like anybody else. And
Me too. I wanted to ask you these questions.
So now I'll probably go back and watch and see what other people's theories are. But I think Ezra has already been corrupted by Abeloth.
That would be badass.
And has came back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my theory. That's what I kind of think may it be happening, and we may see if the Abeloth is already. And the other thing is, that beacon's at?
Yeah.
So right now they're stranded on that planet, right?
Mm-hmm. And she didn't look at. If
Abeloth is there or something is there, she may be more. If they can release her and unleash her, they could be able to create maybe a portal. She's powerful enough to create a portal to get back to this galaxy. And that's how Ahsoka and Sabine and get back to this, and Balin, if you
maybe survives. That's why she didn't look so worried.
Or guess who else has a power? If Anakin Skywalker can open up a doorway for them to get back to the proper galaxy. There's so many ways they can go about it.
Yeah,
and we know
makes it exciting.
We know Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader is going to be very heavily involved. He signed a contract to do multiple things over the next number of years. So that's my takeaway from what might be coming up. And you got to do season 2 of Ahsoka. I think you do a season 4 of Mando, a season 2 of Ahsoka, then you go into the movie.
Yeah.
Then you're able to bring Luke into it, more Jade into it, more a young Han and a young Leia. Like you're gonna have to recast.
Yeah.
I think they should recast Luke, not do the whole animation thing.
Just recast him.
Sebastian Stan looks like him if you put that hair. I mean, just get somebody like that.
It's fine. We recast.
You got to recast. You can't be doing AI guys.
Yep.
And that's my take. So that's what we think of Ahsoka. Sorry it took us so long to get there. We're gonna try to be more consistent with podcasts. We are now gonna get ready. We're not. We're gonna end this one, but just to give you a little preview, we're gonna do a
Halloween theme,
a Halloween podcast about paranormal. I used to actually belong to a couple different paranormal investigations groups over the years. Ghost Hunters, back before, right when it was really like Ghost Hunters was just coming out and Ghost Adventures was just coming out. I was really into it. And so we're going to talk about that, some of my stories, but also just talk about that stuff in general.
Well, let's wrap this up and start the next one.
All right. We are out.
Out.